Every worker, from experienced trade professional to the home handy person, needs to know how to use their tools to get the job done right. And when the job is above the ground, consider the ladder as another tool in the toolbox that you need to know how to use to get the job done safely. Today, we'll talk about how to select the right ladder for the job, how to inspect the ladder for damage, how to set up the ladder properly, and finally, how to climb and work on a ladder safely. Let's start with selecting the right ladder. There are several types of ladders. The most common are step ladders, extension ladders, and articulated or multi-purpose ladders. Regardless of the type of ladder that you use, be sure that it meets the requirements of the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI. Look for this label on the ladder rail. This tells you that the ladder was designed and built correctly. When picking out the type of ladder, you need to think about your work task. Do you need a freestanding ladder? Will you be able to lean the ladder against a secure wall? Will you need any special equipment or accessories to stabilize the ladder? The next step in selecting the right ladder is to pick the ladder that allows you to safely reach the task to be done. In other words, a step ladder that is tall enough, or an extension ladder that's long enough for the job. The rated working height is listed on the ladder. This height assumes that you are standing no higher than the second step from the top of a step ladder, or standing on the fourth rung from the top of an extension ladder. The highest working height can be found on the manufacturer's information stickers on the ladder rail. Next, you need to determine the load that the ladder will need to hold. You need to figure on your weight and the combined amount of tools and materials that will be carried up the ladder. There are 5 load ratings for ladders. These load ratings are set by ANSI and are referred to as ladder types. A Type 1 ladder can hold up to 250 pounds. A Type 1A ladder has a 300-pound load capacity, and a Type 1AA is rated for 375 pounds. All 3 are rated for construction use. A Type 2 ladder is rated for 225 pounds and is approved for medium-duty use. The Type 3 light-duty ladder holds only 200 pounds. Know your total load. When in doubt, go for the stronger ladder. Finally, you need to match the material that the ladder is made of to the type of work you're going to do. Ladders can be made of fiberglass, aluminum, or wood. Fiberglass ladders are the right choice if there are any electrical hazards. If you're working by yourself and have to wrestle with a long extension ladder, and if there is no potential for electrical contact, then aluminum is a smart choice. Once you've selected the ladder for the job, make sure your ladder is in good working order. Make sure the feet of the ladder are in good condition. Step ladders should have slip-resistant feet. Check that the rubber treads are in place and are not worn or damaged. Check to see that the spreader braces are secured. Be sure the rungs or steps are not damaged or slippery. Straight ladders and extension ladders may have a shoe that has spikes for use on dirt or grass and a rubberized surface for use on hard surfaces. Make sure the shoe is not bent or missing. Try all locks and check out the rope and pulley on extension ladder. If you find loose, broken, badly worn, or missing parts, tag the ladder and report it to your supervisor. A major cause of falls from ladders is improper setup. Ladder setup includes both an assessment of your work area conditions and the specific placement of the ladder. Start each job by looking things over where you will be working. Be aware of electrical hazards and take the time to move things out of your way. Clear away clutter and clean up debris. When working outdoors, consider the surface where your ladder will be set up. Is it level? Is it solid enough to support the ladder along with you and your tools and materials? Once you finish your site assessment, it's time to go get your ladder. Carry ladders horizontally, and whenever possible, 2 people should carry an extension ladder. When you carry a ladder by yourself, keep the front end slightly elevated. If you need to work in any area with vehicle or foot traffic, set up a perimeter or have someone else direct traffic around you. Now it's time to place your ladder in your work area. Let's start with step ladders. For step ladders and articulated ladders, Make sure all 4 legs are on solid, level surfaces that are not wet, greasy, or slippery. Sometimes the rubber feet of ladders are not enough to prevent slips. You might need to remove any surface contamination from the floor. Position the ladder so you can face your work rather than turning your body sideways. Make sure the spreader is in the fully opened and locked position. When working with articulated ladders, make sure that all locks are engaged. Step ladders should never be used as a straight ladder. The feet are not designed for this, and the ladder can slip. Now let's talk about the proper setup of extension ladders. Make sure there is overhead clearance. Check especially for electrical lines. Start with the ladder closed. Position the ladder with the base section on top of the fly section and the bottom of the ladder either against the base of the structure or have a coworker block the base with their feet. Now lift the top of the ladder and carefully walk the ladder up rung by rung until it is vertical. You may need 2 people if the ladder is long or heavy. Grip the ladder with one hand at about head level and the other hand extended toward your knees for stability. Carefully move the bottom of the ladder back from the structure about 1/4 the distance of the ladder's working length. This allows you to place it against the structure at the correct angle. Next, raise the fly section. After the bottom rung of the fly section clears the bottom rung of the base section, place your foot on the first rung and stabilize the ladder against your knee. If you have 2 people on the job, have one person hold the ladder while the other one raises the fly section. Watch to make sure that the locking mechanisms are functioning. Lean the ladder against the structure. Remember to use the 4-to-1 rule to determine the correct pitch. The base of the ladder should be 1 foot away from the supporting surface for every 4 feet of height to the support point. So, if your ladder touches the structure 24 feet up the building, the base of the ladder would be 6 feet from the base of the building. This provides the best resistance to sliding. It optimizes the ladder's strength, and it provides you the best balance for climbing. To check for proper setup, put your toes against the base of the ladder. If the ladder pitch is correct, you should be able to grasp the side rails with outstretched arms. Make sure the ladder extends 3 feet above the top support points for access to a roof or other work level. Both rails should rest firmly and securely against the structure. That's the basics, but there are some situations that can be a challenge. You may have soft surfaces, a side slope, or a surface that slopes away from the building. Anytime surface conditions are other than level pavement or concrete, you need to make sure that your ladder will stay put. Before you start climbing, step up on the first rung and give it a little bounce. If the ladder shifts when you put a load on the first rung, stop. You may have to reset the ladder. Check that your ladder's plumb, not leaning to the side. What seems like a small sideways lean at the bottom can be a big distance at the top. This can cause the ladder to tip and you to take a fall. If you don't have a vertical reference to line up your ladder, use a level to check it out. When working outside on grass, use the spike side of the ladder shoes to keep the ladder base from sliding. For soft surfaces, use structurally sound lumber that extends beyond the width of the ladder. Depending on your soil stability, you may need a larger base of support. Again, use your level to make sure your ladder is plumb. If you have to work on a side slope, many ladders can be equipped with leg levelers. If you are using lumber to provide a level surface, make sure that it's stable. Adding some screws and stakes will give you a secure base of support. If you need to set the ladder on ground that slopes away from the building, watch out. The base of your ladder may slide out. You're going for a fast ride to the bottom. You may need to engineer a secure platform for the ladder, or consider another way to get to the work, such as scaffolding or an elevated work platform. It's best to secure ladders at the top and bottom, especially if the ladders will be used in the same place over time. Many ladder falls happen while workers are climbing either up or down. You've probably heard about keeping 3 points of contact when climbing or descending a ladder. Have you ever wondered why this is so difficult? When children learn to crawl, they move one leg and the opposite arm. That keeps them from falling on their face, most of the time. Then, when you learn to walk or run, you tend to swing your arms opposite from the leg you are moving. This helps you keep your balance during your stride. Unfortunately, you unconsciously use the same motion when climbing a ladder, and that results in only 2 points of contact. Remember, climbing is not the same as walking. If one of your hands or feet slips on the ladder rung, the one remaining hand is not strong enough to catch your fall or help you maintain your balance. Here's a little trick that can help you stay in contact with the ladder. When climbing or descending the ladder, think to yourself, hand, hand, foot, foot. Hand, hand, foot, foot. Always moving only one limb at a time. With a little practice, this movement becomes second nature. Before you take that first step up the ladder, check your shoes for any mud, water, oil, or grease that could cause you to slip. Shoes or boots with a non-slip sole are best. Face the ladder and climb. Climb slowly and focus on what you're doing. Avoid carrying tools or other materials in your hands. Instead, use a tool belt or have a coworker hand items to you after you reach the top. For taller work levels, use a hand line to raise tools or materials. Falls while working on a ladder can be prevented by working carefully and deliberately. Stand facing your work and stay on or below the second step from the top of a step ladder and on or below the fourth rung from the top of an extension ladder. Focus on your work and avoid distractions. If the cell phone rings, let it go to voicemail and wait until you are off the ladder to return the call. Let's face it, we don't climb the ladder just to get a better view of the countryside. We've got a job to do up there. We often need both hands to do the task. The key to staying safely at the top of the ladder is balance. That's tough to do while you're balancing your feet on a ladder rung only an inch or two wide. Here are some tricks to increase your stability. To maintain your safe 3 points of contact, put one foot on the next ladder rung and your knee under a rung by lifting your foot. If you need to stand for a long time on one rung, consider a standing platform. It's easier on your feet and easier to maintain your balance. You can maintain a stable position and keep the ladder from tipping by keeping your center of body mass inside the side rails. How far can you reach when you're doing your work? Here's a good rule. Keep your belt buckle inside of the rails. If you need to reach or lean to one side further than this to do your work, get down off the ladder and move it to a better location. Most ladders are designed for only one worker. Even climbing a few steps to hand up tools can overload the ladder. If the work task requires 2 people, use 2 ladders or a special double-sided ladder built for this purpose. Be careful when working on top of a ladder if you have to push or pull something. The higher you are on a ladder, the easier it is to tip over by pushing on a tool or piece of material. Never leave tools or materials on top of a ladder, and never leave a ladder unattended. Using a ladder safely seems pretty simple, but you need to use it correctly. Whenever using a ladder on the job or at home, remember to select the right ladder for the job. Inspect your ladder every time you use it, checking for loose, broken, or missing parts. Tag it out and get it repaired if you find anything wrong. Set up step ladders with all legs on a flat, dry, level surface, and make sure all locking parts are secure. Follow the 4-to-1 rule to ensure a safe angle for extension ladders. Use a level to make sure your ladder is plumb. Climb and descend a ladder using 3 points of contact. Remember, hand, hand, foot, foot. Use a well-balanced tool belt or have a worker hand tools up to you. Work directly in front of you. Maintain 3 points of contact with a knee lock under a rung. If you have to lean past your belt buckle, climb down and reposition the ladder. We work with a lot of tools, but you won't find these tools in your toolbox. Knowing how to select, inspect, set up, and use the ladder properly can help you finish the job safely.